You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K24. It's myself, Mo Mootsie, alongside me as always, the three-time NBA champion, Mr. BJ Armstrong. BJ, another night of the playoffs. How you feeling?
Woo! You know what? What a series we got going here in OKC. I mean,
Mm,
unbelievable. I mean, it,
hmm
it, it re- it really is unbelievable.
hmm
Unbelievable. I didn't know what to expect. I gotta give this OKC Thunder team a little credit.
Well, you
Okay.
do, but we'll get to that because there was another game on tonight, which we will
Yeah.
begin with. Over in the Eastern Conference, my Boston Celtics. We have to have them
Yes.
first. Come on, man. So the Boston
Okay.
Celtics, business as usual, 120-95. Game one win over the Cleveland Cavaliers at home in Boston. Jaylen Brown led the way with 32 points. Derek White had 25. Drew Holiday had 14. Jason Tatum had 18 in a game in which he somewhat struggled. 7 of 19 shooting the ball, didn't hit a three in the entire game. But Peyton Pritchard, 16 points off the bench.
Oh,
Al Horford,
wow.
Al Horford,
Wow.
7 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in the starting lineup for Porzingis. And we've got some nice Xavier Tillman minutes. Um, Luke Cornett was actually fantastic in this game. He was absolutely fantastic in this. Peyton Pritchard, by the way, if you saw that buzzer beating three, was at the end of the first, end of the halftime,
Halftime,
three
I think. Yeah.
seconds. I don't know. He has a knack for those shots. Over for the Cavs, on the other hand, Donovan Mitchell, as you would expect, 33 points. He took 25 shots tonight. Evan Mobley chips in with 17 points and 13 boards. Darius Garland gave them 14. He's been really struggling of late. Isaac Okoro, at one point, he hit like three threes in a row and then just didn't hit another one. He finished with 11 points. And aside from that, they didn't have many contributions. In this one, you know, the Celtics started off the game not hitting a lot of their shots. They were aggressive, though. They got inside the paint. They got to the free throw line and they managed to build up a little lead as we got into the second quarter, and they never looked back after that. They dominated the boards, 55-38 rebounding advantage. They blocked 7 shots as a team tonight, and they took care of the basketball. Relatively speaking to the Celtics, only 6 turnovers. Um, but I thought it was a great performance. Obviously, Tatum struggled, but well, actually, BJ, let me get your take on this. Why do you think Jason Tatum is being perceived to be struggling so far in the playoffs?
Well, it could be a variety of reasons. I mean, he could have an injury that no one knows about. Sometimes Mo, you'll have like games or you'll have, a bad week or whatever the case may be. I don't look at he's struggling. I mean, you have 18 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 block shots.
I think he impacted the game very well, but his shooting
Yeah,
numbers is what's got everyone worried. And I think that what people don't realize is when you look at how a lot of these teams are setting up to play defense, Jason Tatum is the focal point of their game plan. And they're doing whatever they can to not get him going. And he's doing the right thing by moving the basketball. He only finished with 5 assists, had a bunch of hockey assists too, which is a secondary assist, where you pass to someone who then gets the
I
assist.
mean, 5 assists led their team. So I mean,
He's playing good
it.
basketball. Scoring
Yeah,
wise, not ideal, but when you look at some of the possessions, there's like 3 guys who are all set up to stop him from driving to the hoop. And so he's going to be forced to take a three or move the ball.
well,
And
I
he's
will say
learning to move
this.
the ball.
Yeah, I will say this. When you start playing playoff basketball, right? We say this. So let's start so you can understand the context of it. Playoff basketball is going to slow down, and you're going to have defenses that are designed to take away something with your first option. Certainly, when you advance, you're going to begin to play against teams where their defense is geared to take away something. Well, the first and second option of the Boston Celtics is Jason Tatum. That's just what it is. But when you look at the Celtics play a style where they are getting up how many threes a game?
Tonight, they took a total of 46 threes and made 18 of them.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
Cavs on the other side went 11 from 42. So they were getting up shots as well.
Yeah. Now, but when I think about that, I'm going to myself, you have a superior, not a good, a superior offensive talent like Jason Tatum. At some point here, you're going to have to play below the free throw line if you're going to win the whole thing.
And we're back.
That's just
And we're back.
That's just what it is. That's just what, like, do what you do in the regular season. You're playing against teams that, you know, in the lower half. Let's just say, you know, not we're calling out teams or bad teams. Just say teams that aren't in the upper echelon like they're playing now. The best teams in the league are now playing. They're advancing. We know the Miami Heat was going to have a nice game plan. I don't care who was playing. They're going to have a nice defensive game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's playing against another team. You know, Evan Mobley and these guys are, you know, shot blockers. They're pretty good down there. And I don't expect him to shoot well all the time from three. I mean, Derek White is shooting the ball like, you know what, like he's just lights out right now. Like right now,
7 of 12 from behind the arc.
Derek White has stolen
every time I watch Derek White play, I get one step closer to shaving my head.
Yeah, I mean, Derek White is just playing amazing. He's just shooting amazing, right? And when you shoot amazing, people say you're playing well.
Well, he plays great defense too.
Yeah, he does. But you know what? But when you shoot well, it just kind of, you know, it's just like, oh, wow, this guy's like whatever. So I'm not concerned about Jason Tatum, but what I am concerned about is when you have a great player, you have to get that great player easy shots and easy looks. Yeah. Like every single time I watch Jason Tatum, and he's very capable of doing it, he has to create something for himself.
Yeah, because the Celtics don't really have a playmaker like that. You know,
well,
like Drew Holiday and Derek White, you wouldn't class them as traditional point guard playmakers. They're two guys who are notorious for their defense.
Let me share something with you, Mo. Let me share something with you. When you get to the playoffs, when I say you gotta take something away, the defense is going to take away your first option. That's the goal of any defense, whether you have a playmaker or not. If you're playing in the playoffs, you're not just going to blow by a team in the semifinals or the conference finals. I don't care who you are. So you have to design an offense. Every offense has to be designed to do one thing: get the ball to your best player in an operating area. That's not give it to Jason Tatum and let him go one-on-one. Not get into him at the three-throw line where he's got to dribble and in and out, and he's capable of doing that. But get him the ball where he's coming off, getting a clean look. That's just called set a screen for the guy. That's called getting him the ball where he's close to the basket, where he doesn't have to accept the double team immediately every time he catches it. He can just catch it and be proactive instead of reacting to what the defense is doing. So, yes, it's nice when you're playing in the regular season and you have a blow-by, you break the defense down, the guy gives you an easy, but that's why they're a bad team. Now we're playing against better teams. We're playing against teams that are responsible and accountable. So at some point here, we're going to have to get Jason Tatum the ball to where he can be proactive as a player instead of reacting to what's going on and having to create and read. You know, we live in this era now where you're reading and reacting, but the best players are dictating what the defense is going to do. And right now, in my opinion, Jason Tatum is just reacting to what's going on. And he's getting up his shots, right? What do you got? About 19 or 20 shots tonight, like all great players do. They get their shots up, but it's hard and it gets harder. And any offensive player, especially the number one guy, will tell you it gets harder as you advance. And believe it or not, the next round is going to be more difficult. And then when you get to the NBA Finals, that's why those teams keep advancing, because they're so good on the defensive side. So trust me, if he's shooting like this right now in the semifinals, in the quarterfinals, whatever this is, we just saw yesterday, okay? We just saw a defense yesterday that was just lockdown defense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay? And So I don't want to get concerned because I want to believe that these coaches will make the proper adjustments to get these great players going. Jason Tatum is a great player. And so I'm not going to be concerned about him having a game or two or a
Yeah,
series.
I'm not
That
worried
happens.
about the offense. I would like to see, the one slight criticism I have on the Celtics is like the Timberwolves blew out the Nuggets in game 2, and they were locked in the full 48 minutes. They were hounding those guys,
You
even when
talking
they
about
were up
maximum? You
big.
talking about maximum security?
Yeah,
That's what you're
I'm
talking
talking
about?
about maximum
Okay.
security that they play with maximum effort. Whereas the Celtics, there are stretches of the game when they're up where they look a little bit disinterested. The defense starts to relax a little bit. And if you're playing against better opponents, and that's a recipe for disaster, just something to keep an eye on. But tonight, all eyes were on the OKC Thunder as they hosted the 5th seed Dallas Mavericks to begin their second round series. And OKC came away with a 117-95 win. A great win for the young Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Shai Alexander with 29 points. And
Did you see his fit tonight, Mo? Did you see his
that
fit
was
there?
disgusting. It was
Oh, I kind of liked
disgusting.
it, Mo. I kind
You
of liked
liked it. It looked like he wore
I
a white
did.
suit, went swimming in a sewer, and then came to the game.
I kind of liked it. I must admit, I
No,
kind of liked it.
no,
I
no,
kind of
no,
liked
no,
it.
no, no.
I
Come on,
liked the
BJ.
fit.
I
I
thought
did.
you had
I
more
did.
style than that.
Hey, I liked it. I didn't. I was like, oh, okay, I liked it. I liked it.
What was it, like a brown suit, or was it yellow? I couldn't really tell because I got the nighttime glow on the TV to protect your eyes from the blue lights. But whatever it was, it looked horrible. It looked absolutely horrible. But he had 29 points, right? So Shai drops
Okay.
29, gets to the free throw line a whole bunch. He was 11 of 13 in the end. But BJ, I want to ask you this before we talk more about that game. In the playoffs, why are some series is it series or series? Why a particular series? Okay, let me try this again.
Yes.
BJ, in the
Oh, we're
playoffs,
going to start this again. Are we going to start this
why
again?
are some matchups refereed differently to other matchups? And if anyone knows the plural of series, please do let me know. But if you saw the way that the Timberwolves Nuggets game was ref, the refs were swallowing their whistle. But tonight, the Mavs and the Thunder, the referees were calling a whole lot of fouls, and the OKC were taking a whole lot of free throws. Why are some matchups refereed in a different way to others?
The same way players play different. You're not refereeing a Luka Doncic game the same way you're refereeing a game
Why
with
not? Surely you should referee all games the same way by the rule book.
because they're playing different, right? They're playing different.
But it doesn't matter if you play different. A foul is a foul.
Okay. The physicality of you could call a foul literally every time Jokic plays.
Yeah.
On every play. Joel Embiid, the same. And a lot of those could be offensive fouls. Julius Randle, for instance, he plays a very physical style. Some players play a different brand of basketball. And believe it or not, the referees adjust to the game.
Okay, but then why does a player like Shai get to the line 13 times tonight? I don't remember how many times the Joker got to the line yesterday. But unless I'm mistaken, I don't know if it was 13 times. I can look it up right now. He got 6 free throws. Are you telling me he was fouled half as much as Shai was tonight?
Who was?
Jokic last night.
Well, I'm as you know, I've mentioned this, and our listeners have heard this before. My dad was a referee, so I'm biased towards the referees. And one of the things I learned about playing is they will adjust to the style of play that you play. They will adjust. The referees will say, well, this is how Mo plays. And they will adjust. Now, last night when I saw the Denver Nuggets play, you know what was amazing to me? The more aggressive team is always allowed to be aggressive when the other team starts complaining. It never fails.
Shout out to Draymond.
It never fails. It never failed. So Denver started complaining. The referees are like, Either you're going to meet this aggression, because what do the referees want to allow you to do, especially in the playoffs and late in the game? They want the players to determine the outcome of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You and I just heard you say
Knicks Pacers.
I heard you say it just the other day. I heard you say this the other day. You said, what did you say?
Bring the receipts out. Bring the receipts out.
No, you said, quote, you said, you just want the consistency of the whistle.
Exactly.
Yes.
I want every game to be refereed how the Timberwolves Nuggets game was refereed.
Well, if you meet the physicality of the game, you will get a fair whistle, in my opinion. In my opinion. But when you start complaining and you start doing things and you start trying to, bait fouls, the refs, they're human. That's the one thing we don't want. These aren't like robots. They're human. I always encourage teams that I played on. I encourage my own son. We play one-on-one like practically every day, my youngest. If there's no blood, there's no foul.
Facts.
That's how we play. That's the backyard rule. That's the backyard rule. So the most aggressive player always gets the calls. And I've never seen it other. If there's one thing that is consistent, oh, okay. He fouled me hard. Okay, that's fair. All right, I'm going to foul him hard. And then the players will figure it out. The old timers, the guys before me, they used to always tell Arjun, we were the new kids, right? Oh man, you guys are always complaining. You guys are always complaining. So I finally asked one. I was like, why do you always say we're complaining all the time? He said, because when you go to the playground, who complains?
I mean,
and I thought about it. Mo, I've never been to a playground in Detroit where people are like, hey, he fouled me.
No. So people don't complain about fouls until it's game point, right?
Yes.
And when it's game point, everything is a foul. I could breathe too close to you. Oh, that was a foul.
Yes.
And
okay. I respect that.
No, but Mo, that. It makes me crazy.
I respect that. Why? Because now the game's on the line. I respect that. Game's on the line. Everybody wants to win. But
play through the contact. Grow up.
Well, you love to win. That's why that's the one thing I love about pickup basketball. Like the game is going on. You know what's better than playing in the NBA to me was playing pickup basketball, especially when there was a long line. Like, because you knew the team that lost, you weren't getting back on the court again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you're supposed to play. You hear coaches say it all the time. Man, when you're going to play with a sense of urgency? Guys are like, man, coach got to give me some minutes. No, when you're playing in the playground and there's like 20 people on the sideline waiting, you don't wait to start playing hard when it's 9-9, the game's going to 10.
Check ball.
Now you're talking my language. So when I see people play that way, or I see people look for the referee for a call, I start going, wait a minute. Maybe this guy's never played pickup basketball before. That's what I always think.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Let's not talk about the referees for the second night in a row. Let's talk about the OKC Thunder. Chet Holmgren, 19 points.
And shout out to the referees, because you know what? They're doing a great job.
Okay. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks for Chet Holmgren. Jalen Williams had 18 points, 10 of which came in the fourth quarter. And in that fourth quarter, the entire Mavericks starting unit scored only 10 points. So he really helped them seal the game. Aaron Wiggins, absolutely huge off the bench with 16 points. And also Jalen Williams, 11 points, great contribution. Isaiah Joe knocked down his shots. He had a couple of those. He knocked them down. Cason Wallace was also fantastic. The OKC, their depth really shone through. I mean, Luka struggled being guarded by Lu Dort. Luka obviously still has somewhat of an injury. I don't know what it is. But yeah, the OKC Thunder, we talked about the Mavericks. We talked about the Timberwolves defense yesterday and how locked in it is and everyone's on a string. OKC played some pretty nice defense today too. For the Dallas Mavericks, no player cracked 20 points. Kyrie had 20, Luka had 19, Gafford had 16, PJ Washington had 10, and Josh Green gave them 11 off the bench, and no one else got to double figures. Now, a few interesting things happened in the game, right? So, like, Dallas played Josh Giddey off the court. They don't respect his shooting, and if he's not hitting his shots, there's not much use in him being there. He only played 16 minutes tonight. Like, Wallace and Wiggins off the bench played 22, 23 minutes each. Now, the ironic thing about that is you'd think disrupting a team starting group and getting one of their players to not be functional in a productive manner is a good thing for you. But they actually played a lot better without Josh Giddey on the floor. They played, in my opinion, a better style of basketball without Josh Giddey when he's out there. So credit to OKC, man. They did some really nice stuff in this game. I'm a fan of what they're doing over there. Third quarter, they weren't getting too many great looks. Giddey came out. They went back to it. And I think for the Mavericks, they really missed Maxi Kleber because against OKC, this is a series where you need guys that can guard the perimeter. Gafford isn't too great being able to guard the perimeter, and he's not an outside shooter, whereas Kleber, and I never thought I'd say in a series they're desperately missing Maxi Kleber, but Maxi Kleber can do both of those things. Jason Kidd's rotation trying to go away a little bit from Daniel Gafford down the stretch. I don't know why. But here's the interesting thing, BJ. Did you know that so far in the playoffs, no OKC opponent has cracked 100 points yet?
I did not know that. Well, it's only second round, right? I mean,
it's five games. That's pretty good, though.
5 games.
That's pretty good, though, in the modern NBA. That's pretty good. But what did you see in this one?
Great job by OKC Thunder because you can see they've kind of settled in. You know, the first game of last series, I thought they looked a little nervous. First time for this group to be in the playoffs. And you didn't really know what to expect. But now you can see that they've kind of settled in. I think they have their confidence, and more importantly, their best player is really playing like a star. I mean, Shea was simply, he came out and he accepted the challenge. I love it when great players accept the challenge. And Shea he's a handful. He's a real problem. He's a real star because he's a physical guard, okay? And you could tell that he demands that he's going to be double teamed. You can't play him mano a mano. He's just too big. You got to put a bigger body on him. And he just keeps on pushing the basketball, and he will dominate you if you let him. So I want to give him credit. I thought the guys, Chet Holmgren and Williams and all of these guys, but they did a really nice job. And they look, I think they're starting to believe that they can win this. You know what I mean? Win this series. Yes. And I got to give them credit for that. So I thought they did a really nice job. So, but we'll see what game 2. I think game 2 will say a lot because Dallas has a reputation of like, they kind of feel you out in game 1. Luka and these guys go back. But I don't know. I felt pretty good. So I felt pretty good about this one.
OKC being coached by the coach of the year. And I talked about Giddey before, but like the adjustment here was this. Dallas put Daniel Gafford on Josh Giddey. And then they put PJ Washington on Chet Holmgren and Derek Jones Jr. on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, meaning they could switch the pick and rolls between Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because you're comfortable or more comfortable with PJ Washington guarding Shai than you are with Daniel Gafford. And because Giddey's not a shooter, Gafford was able to just really camp the paint a little bit. And the adjustment made in the game was just simply to take Giddey out of the game for guys that are threats on the perimeter. So I'm interested to see as the series progresses if they keep Josh Giddey in their starting lineup or if they go down a different route and maybe
why you want to take him out of the lineup? Why you want to take him out of the lineup?
Because they played their best basketball when he wasn't in the game. He played 17 minutes tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, golly. Well, I mean, the guy has started all year. Like,
I don't care. It's the playoffs. Some series just aren't for you. I don't care what you did. It's what have you done for me lately? And tonight he did nothing for the team.
Okay. All right, moving right along.
Well, I mean, he can stay in the starting lineup. I just don't know how many minutes he's going to get.
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, Giddy right now has some work to do on his outside shot. I don't know if it's
When it's
I
falling,
don't
you know
know.
OKC aren't going to lose that game. But when it's not falling, it's a problem.
Well, I don't know. I've seen players be able to play, and they might not be terrific shooters, but there's other things you can do. Right now, Josh Giddey has to abide by the principles of the game, right? You can't allow scoring and shooting the basketball to determine whether or not you play well.
But,
Like,
okay, but then the other aspects of the game, like I'd rather have Aaron Wiggins in there playing defense rather than Josh Giddey.
that's fine. Well, that you're entitled to say whatever you want. I'm just saying, as a young player like Giddey, Josh Giddey's a really good basketball player, I think. I think he's a really good player. But right now, there's an aspect of his game that's not like consistent, and that's shooting. But there are a lot of players who aren't like great shooters, but they don't allow that to dictate whether or not they can contribute to the game. So I would challenge him to say, okay, you're not shooting well. All right. You're in a bad stretch, if that's a bad stretch. Or maybe he has something going on in his head, right? But at the same time, don't allow that to be the determining factor on whether or not you play well or not. That, to me, is the problem here.
Okay. Well, speaking of bad stretches, Luka had a bad stretch in this one. He was 6 of 19 from the field, 1 of 8 from downtown. And the Dallas Mavericks as a whole only shot 52% at the rim. So shout out to Chet and also the help defense on the for the low man coming across for OKC. And if you're not shooting the ball well, like Luka 1 from 8 from downtown, and you're not scoring a lot at the basket, it's going to be a very tough night. So maybe it's an off game. Maybe this injury that Luka is carrying, because you saw him hobbling a whole bunch of times during the game, maybe that's more serious than we think. But we'll stay tuned and see what happens in game 2. But speaking of game 2s, BJ, tonight, the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers face off again, and the Knicks will be without Mitchell Robinson for this one. How does that impact things?
I'm just concerned about the Knicks because they played 8 players now in the last game.
Oh, whoa, my mistake. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's not just missing this game. He's missing the entirety of the postseason with an ankle injury.
I'm just concerned.
Are we going to see Hartenstein 48 minutes?
Hey,
If he's got to try not to foul, because
I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm concerned for the Knicks. Those guys are just playing so many minutes.
It's ironic, right, BJ? So we did a video on Instagram with a clip from the show yesterday, and we were talking about the minutes that the Knicks starters are playing and the Knicks rotation in general is playing. And one of the funniest comments was a guy who said, "You guys have clearly never played basketball before. Players are meant to play 48 minutes." And shout out to all the fans who roasted him for not knowing who BJ Armstrong was. I'm not mad that he didn't know who I was, but that's whatever. But a lot of the comments, right? We got so many comments from people saying they're professional basketball players. They should be able to play 48 minutes. Some guy said football players, soccer players play 45 minutes and a half. And I'm like, I don't think you guys understand the intensity of NBA basketball, let alone NBA basketball in the playoffs. It's almost impossible for the majority of the league, 99% of the guys, to play 48 minutes in a playoff game, with the exception of Josh Hart.
Yeah, listen, I get it. I get it. I can understand where people are coming from. However, when you're talking about playing in the length of a season, there has to be a thought pattern or ability to understand what the human body can do over this length of time. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. And you have to pace yourself. Not play hard. I don't mean pace like you take this play off. No. You have to be able to say, this is what we can do at the maximum level and to perform. That's why they call it a team. This is a team sport. This is a team sport. I'm really beginning to get concerned with the Knicks and how many minutes those guys are playing. Okay, that's why you have depth. That's why you have a team. If it was just about everybody should play, then you should just have 5 or 6 players on every team, and then that'll be it.
That's Coach Tom Thibodeau's dream.
Okay, and then that'll be it. Then you wouldn't worry about anything. And then if you don't play, then you just don't have enough players to play. So again, I hear what people are saying, but believe it or not, these guys are human, and the body can only do so much. I don't know what this is going to do as the series goes on. I said it at the beginning of the series. I'll say it again. The longer this series goes on, I think the greater the chances that the Pacers will win the series.
Because the Knicks, without Julius Randle for the playoffs anyway, Bojan Bogdanovic injured, now Mitchell Robinson. Hopefully there's no more injuries because this Knicks team has been really fun. But do you think the Indiana Pacers are going to win game 2 in Madison Square Garden tonight?
I think they have a chance. But I again, there's a major concern. The toughness and the style of play of the Knicks. And the style favors the Knicks if they can get it into a game where you got to grind the game out. Now, if this game gets up and down and it's a finesse game and the Knicks, they don't have the discipline to run their offense and play their style, yes, I think the Pacers will win. However, I think the Knicks understand this. I think the Knicks are the more physical team, and I think the Knicks can grind the game out. If they can just keep it close, I think that favors the Knicks. But if the Pacers can get up 10, 12 and make it into that type of game, because they have so much depth. I mean, they can literally press this team
man. Just run
yes,
off
they
the
can.
floor.
Yes, and now if they can do that, so I think it's going to be a battle of wills. I would love to see Halliburton kind of get himself involved in the game. I mean, he only had 6 points last game.
He still makes contributions when he's not scoring, but if you're the star player of a franchise, you got to score more than 6 points on 6 shots.
I would love to see him more aggressive.
Yeah.
I want to, because I can't say scoring determines whether you play well. Just be aggressive.
Pull-up shooting has dropped like 20 percentage points before and after his injury or something ridiculous like that. And I don't know if that's still hampering him or whatever it was, but like you could have rested and let your injury heal for the playoffs, but you wanted to meet the 65 minimum game requirements to get the bonus on your contract.
Well, that's what
because you have to make all NBA. So you chose the money over.
Mo has the rules. Secure the bag. I'm not mad at that.
So
I'm not mad at that.
You've done your job. You've done that extra 20 mil or how much it is, right?
Whatever it is.
But this is the downside of that.
This is the downside of that,
and this is the business.
Well, he's got to figure it out. No excuses. He's got to figure it out. I haven't heard him complain.
Oh, I heard him complain during the regular season. But
just come out and figure out how to get it done. So everyone's a little banged up.
Only one game on tomorrow night, which means we might get a little bit of an early finish, BJ, which might be very beneficial.
You're excited about that? You're excited?
I was in the gym today. I almost fell asleep on the bench.
Oh, wow.
That's how tired I am. I had about 3 hours. That was a good night for me last night. 3 hours sleep. But we go again tomorrow, and we'll be here back tomorrow with another podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify,
another
Apple,
one,
or wherever you get podcasts from. That's right, another one. We're going to be back. We'll break down all of that, and then we'll preview the following night's games, which will be a rematch of tonight's games. So it's also good for the Denver Nuggets that they get to rest until Friday after those 2 games against Minnesota. And Jamal Murray is not going to be suspended. He's just got to pay a $100,000 fine. He fumbled.
He could have gave that money to you, Mo. He could have gave that to you.
That would change my life.
He could have sponsored. He could have sponsored the show.
Oh, game changer. Until next time, you guys, make sure you stay locked in, and more importantly, get buckets.